12-year-old child, unarmed, shot because of a police raid. Well, now there's a $12 million settlement. Let me give you the background to this extreme story. Let's put up the picture full mass here. All right. The Richton Park Police Department will now pay $12 million to settle a lawsuit alleging one of his officers wrongfully shot Amir Worship, a then 12-year-old child, during a raid of his home in Illinois. This took place in 2019. Amir, 16, is permanently disabled after being shot in his knee during the raid. You heard me right. As part of the settlement, the officer in Richton Park publicly apologized to Amir, who is now a high school junior and is expected to need multiple knee replacements during his entire lifetime. Officer Khalid Blood, who remains an officer for the Richton Park Police, claimed the gun was defective and accidentally went off, striking Amir in the right knee. Let's put up a picture of the mother. Amir's mother, her name is Crystal. Crystal said, and I quote, "I accept his apology, but he was reckless that day. There's a lot of healing we have to do. The family has since moved to Texas, but the family and their attorney said it is not enough. Officer Blood should be fired," the attorney says. He told reporters this on Wednesday. Not only has he not been fired, but Officer Blood has not even been disciplined in any form or fashion for shooting a 12-year-old boy. Hofield said 3 prior investigations into the shooting were inadequate and called for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to reopen the investigation into the officer. I'm going to give you some background to this raid that took place in 2019. Amir was in fact shot. Amir was shot before dawn on May 26, 2019, after officers entered the home of Crystal Worship and exploded flashbang grenades. The officers were part of the South Suburban Emergency Response Team. They were looking for Crystal Worship's boyfriend, who was arrested and charged with drug possession. The charges were actually later completely dropped. During the raid, officers handcuffed the 13-year-old son, and one officer pointed a rifle at Amir, according to the lawsuit. Amir was sitting on his bed and complying with the officer's commands when the officer's gun went off, according to them. Amir testified the officer was adjusting the rifle when it fired. The officer had been pointing the gun at Amir's chest, but Amir leaned back to put his shoes on, so he was shot in his knee instead. Amir has undergone 5 surgeries and suffers from PTSD. The officer remains on active duty with the Richton Police Department, but recently requested to be placed on desk duty. The officer was dismissed from the South Suburban Emergency Response Team in September 2020 for committing multiple violations of firearm safety. Now, let me say this. The officer was well aware that doing that kind of action could lead to a person being injured or killed, okay? I want you to follow me on this. The George Floyd Policing Act would have lowered the standard from willful criminal conduct, or what we call mens rea, meaning the intent to actually commit a crime. It would have lowered that standard to basically a negligent standard to be applicable in the right situation. If you are grossly negligent and it leads to the injury or death of an individual, and you either knew or should have known better than what you did, you could be charged with a crime. Now, that's a standard that you and I already have. If you're cleaning a gun or fiddling with a gun in front of a 12-year-old child, and that gun is pointed at the child, and you shoot the child, it doesn't matter that it was a mistake. Not for us, not for citizens, But for the police, a trained person, a trained individual with a firearm does not have the same level of accountability as the untrained. Does that make any sense to anyone? So he avoids a criminal prosecution because of judicial doctrine that says, oh, well, the police, they have to really, really be wanting to commit a crime for them to be punished, which really means you have to really be able to prove that this was intentional rather than a mistake. But if somebody who did not have a badge did it, that element is not required. All right, Wosny, thoughts here.
You know, it's interesting. You always hear gun people say, guns don't kill people, people kill people. But I guess in this case, this guy is saying, I didn't do it, the gun just did it.
That's right.
On its own. It's quite hilarious how that logic works. And yeah, it's back to what you were saying about this general lack of accountability. Just the idea that, the people that we should be holding to the highest of standards gets held to a lower standard as far as public safety is concerned than the average citizen. That seems to be, what people from our neighborhoods would call ass backwards.
Yep.
Dr. Richey, like these guys should be held to the highest of scrutiny. And it makes me think that the powers that be feel like cops can't cop unless they feel, invincible, unless they feel like they can be as reckless and as sloppy as they want to be. That seems to be the attitude, that these guys don't have the competence, they don't have the focus, they don't have the care and empathy, more importantly, to do their jobs any other way. Because if they're held to a standard befitting of the responsibility that we hand to them as citizens, then they apparently can't do the job.
Yeah, what these rules have done, dear brother, is it has created an attraction for individuals who are willing to work in an industry that will protect corruption. That's what is happening. You have people attracted to the job for all the wrong reasons now, due to those rules that have protected people throughout the industry of policing since day one.